no matter where in the ambulance the patient is located, we can make sure that our adjustable arm over here, it is a little bit unclear that this can vary in length. The easiest way of visualizing it would be something like a mic stand. So this can be of variable length. It can be elongated if the patient is further away, or we can make sure that the BVM is very close to the patient's mouth, because usually, and this is the information that we got from our stakeholders, the BVM is hardly a feet and a half away from the person's mouth in either of the scenarios where they have a mask on their faces or an endotracheal intubation. So on the arm, we have a C-clasp that holds the BVM in place. And we have another C-shaft sort of a structure, which has a joint over here. And that has the cylinder mounted on it. The cylinder itself has a curved metallic element added to the end of the piston, such that the curvature ensures that when we're pumping the bag constantly, we're not tearing the bag at any point. Instead of a square block, we chose the curved one to ensure that we were not, due to excessive force or for any other reason, damaging the bag. Here we see a better and a more refined structure of the arm. This is what the arm is going to look like when there is no patient, or if the BVM is not being used for a particular patient in transport. Right here we have the C-clasp that gets that can be made stable, or that can be made immovable by just adding a tiny little pin over here, and once the pin is removed, it can come down, as was seen in the previous image. So this pin ensures that during transport, the C-clasp itself is not wobbly or not getting displaced or accidentally injuring anyone. One of the reasons why we decided on facilitating or affording this sort of a motion is because the length of the arm plus the C shaft could get as long as 3.5 feet when in transport, and when it is required, that's a completely acceptable measurement, because the ambulance on the inside is about 6 feet wide, so that affords space to do other activity as well. But when it is not needed, this entire structure, if the C-clasp is bent in this fashion, comes out to be 1.5 feet or 2 at the most in length, instead of the 3.5 feet that it was previously. So as you can see, this is our cylinder. It is held on to the C shaft by this panel right here. And this is the C-clasp that our BVM can easily be attached to or detached from without any or excessive discomfort to the patient. This is another image where we see the patient lying down, and when the patient is using the BVM in this structure, when the patient is brought into the ambulance, the BVM can be attached here quite easily without, again, discomfort to the patient, and the BVM can reside on the person's face, and the piston, since the C-clasp was brought down, it was the pin that you saw earlier, which was over here in the previous image, was brought and locked in here, so that, again, during motion, the clasp is not flailing around or is not getting out of the way or injuring anyone. So this pin over here is going to ensure that it is locked in place. The movement of the piston is going to be in the direction or on the axis of the arm itself, allowing better performance. And over here, we see the cylinder with the curved piston that we talked about previously. And yeah, this is affording a similar sort of a setup that manual pumping does, because usually when the BVM is being pumped manually, the bag is quite close to the patient's face. And one of the attendants, either the nurses or the paramedics, or even sometimes the relatives, have to go in and squeeze the bag manually close to the person's face, but this is just optimizing that task.
This is a miniature version of what our final design will look like. Here, you can see an arm that will be mounted on one of the ambulance walls the one which is closest to where the patient's bed is usually positioned. This arm will be of extendable and variable length, made out of metal that is able to bear a lot of load and force, because the cylinder will be mounted on the C structure, which in turn connects to the arm. The arm will be of extendable length, but would extend up to 3 feet inside of the ambulance. It will have the C structure over it, which itself would be about 1.5 to 2 feet long. As you can see here, there is a clamp that can hold the cylinder in place over here. The head of the cylinder with the piston will be locked into this holder, and the back side of the cylinder will be fastened over here. This C shape right here, or the C bracket, is going to be holding our BVM in place whenever a patient requires care. The structure, and it is a bit flimsy for now, but the BVM can be put into place right here whenever a patient has come in requiring care. The BVM could already be attached to the patient by the doctors of the medical facility that they are being transported from. Once the BVM is fastened in place, the arm over here can be brought down and clamped right in the pinhole that I was showing previously over here. Whenever the BVM needs to be removed, be it due to any technical difficulties or for whatever other reason, this arm can very easily be moved right back into place and clipped in over here, ensuring that it's not going to move around while in travel and injure the patient. There will be a permanent screw drilled in over here so that the arm is always in place. The BVM can very easily be removed and added back as necessary. This arm can retract after it is not being used all the way back to the face of the ambulance wall again. Here's just a little bit of a closer look to the different pins that will be holding the C structure in place. This is what we envision our final design to look like.